The first Castlevania ever. Is it still good? Does it worth your time? And is it possible to enjoy the game today? Hi, my name is Hungry T, and today we review the Castlevania. Castlevania as an IP was in a very strange place, Purgatorium. Konami focused on pachinko machines and made more and more mobile games, so we had no new games for 10 years. But now it's a little bit different. You have an upcoming game, it was already announced, old games are re-released for you to play on modern hardware, you have a second Netflix series, second one. You have collabs with V-Rising, with Vampire Survivors, and even Dead Cells. What I want to say? I think it's a great time to get into Castlevania, because finally, this brand came back to life. And you know who else came back to life? Dracula. And in Castlevania from 1986, it's your job to stop him. Let's do this together. Recently, I played this game for the first time in my life, and the very first surprise was, this is not a Metroidvania. How? What? Why? Yes, I know. This is an action platformer, and it's a very straightforward platformer. You just go from A to B, and at the end you have a boss, and you repeat it 6 times. I expected a Metroidvania, because you know, you take the word Metroidvania, you remove Metroid, you have Vania, like in Castlevania. What's even more interesting, there is a special word for games like this, Classic Vania. That's when a Castlevania is linear. And turns out there is a lot of Classic Vanias in the series. The first Castlevania ever is one of them. Okay. Let's enter the castle, shall we? The castle is the sequence of 6 sevens. No, levels. Levels are hard, but short. During the level, you sometimes hit the door, get through, and make a huge slam. That's a new stage. That's a checkpoint. Every level has 3 stages. If you die, you spawn at the beginning of the stage. Sometimes it's not a door but a stair, but idea is still the same. And if you die a lot, you lose all your lives. Then you spawn at the beginning of the level. What do I want to say? There are a lot of checkpoints. I just didn't expect that, because only NES game that I ever played in my life was Super Mario Bros. And as you may know, this game had no checkpoints. If you died 3 times, it's over. You have to restart the whole game. So I was very surprised when I played the so-called hard game, Nintendo hard game. So many checkpoints making game not so hard anymore. Well, the game is still hard actually, but in a very good way. For example, have you ever played Dark Souls or Dark and Darker, or for example a new game called Marathon? All of those games have a very similar thing inside of them that I really like, and I think it's underappreciated. It's that PvE in those games are very punishing, but it's also somewhat simple. I know it sounds strange, but basically in Dark and Darker, for example, enemy hits you for the half of your health. But it's very simple to avoid their attacks. It's very simple to learn the pattern of a zombie, but if you fail to perform on this pattern, you lose half of your health. So you very fast learn how to never get hit by a zombie. And I think that's the reason why some games are very bad and some games are very good, is because game can add a challenge inside of it, but you can just tank through it. You can just soak the damage, eat a consumable, do something else, and you just never learn how to properly beat an enemy. You'd never learn how to avoid their attacks. Castlevania says to you, listen bro, I am a two-headed cannon. I shoot with a very specific timing. You learn the timing or you are just not going through. I'm sorry, I am an NPC. I have all my digital life to stop you. What are you gonna do? Turn off the game? No. So you better learn how I shoot the fireballs and you learn how to break them. Otherwise, we are stuck here forever, bro. There is no magical potion to heal you. You have to learn. Take those two-headed cannons. I didn't mention them for no reason. They are a very interesting example of the game. Very good example. Simple, but very good. That's why I love the game. They have a very specific timing between their attacks. They shoot fireballs 2 times. You can break fireballs with your attack, and you have to. So you make a first attack, and if you just keep spamming the attack, you will miss the second fireball, and you will get hit. So you have to learn when to pause and make a second attack with the proper time. You have to learn the timing. I can't explain it to you. You just have to learn it. And when you learn it, you break 2 fireballs, and you can do it very reliably. And this is like a tiny thing that makes the game great. But sometimes, game is just not fair. Basically, for example, every instance of a fireball that is coming at you from an angle, for example, like 45-degree angle, it's very bad. Let me explain why. In this game, you are very slow. You can't air control when you jump. You keep the momentum, the inertia. You have a slow attack animation before you attack. But what's even worse, you have only horizontal attacks. You can't attack up, down, or diagonally. So, if something comes at you diagonally, you are in a big trouble. It's very hard to hit this thing. It's very hard to move and avoid this thing. And sometimes you just take the damage. And sometimes it happens too many times. For example, the skeleton dragon thing, it can move up and down, and sometimes it just stays up and shoots at you from a very unpleasant angle. And you just can't do anything about it. You just die to those things sometimes. Or for example, the boss Igor and Frankenstein's monster. This Igor jumps around the map and he shoots fireballs at you from the ceiling. Sometimes you just take the damage and you can't do anything about it. Or flying medusas. They have different patterns when they fly, and sometimes they just have like a very unpleasant patterns and you feel like you can't do anything about it. You have no ability to move fast enough or to attack from a proper angle to avoid the damage. But as I said, you have checkpoints, and there are a lot of them, so even if you get unlucky, you just restart from the checkpoint. And if you are really struggling with the game, you can just use save states. You have them in an official release, Castlevania Anniversary Collection, and I think you can buy it on like every single modern hardware. But you can say, but save states is cheating. No, cheating is what your wife did with me yesterday. Let's talk about Resident Evil 4 speedrunning.
I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
I know it sounds very random, but it will make sense at the end. I promise. There is a video on YouTube named How Lucky is the Resident Evil 4 World Record Speedrun. Basically, turns out Resident Evil 4 speedrunning is just RNG mining. Obviously, execution is very important, but also you just have to get lucky a lot of times in a row.
Here the enemy placement is also random. There's a chance that you'll have to bait an attack instead of just letting Ashley run by. This is a 2-second time loss. These shield bros can get lazy and just not open the door. This saves 3 seconds. 2 seconds lost. 5 seconds of time loss, or potentially your entire life. 50% chance to stagger, losing 4 seconds. Some cultists get really brave and charge forward past the crowd. Meme Bridge is aptly named. 4 seconds gone.
And the whole speedrunning thing of the Resident Evil 4 to me personally seems like basically gambling. And that's a good opportunity to mention our sponsor, Crypto Casino. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. Relax. And I don't want to sound judgmental, but I will be very judgmental. Speedrunning Resident Evil 4 sounds like a horrible hobby to have.
Are you out of your mind?
I knew you'd be fine if you landed on your butt.
I don't want to offend any people who does it, but for me personally, it just sounds like a bad hobby. And in Castlevania, you have a little bit of a similar thing. You have to get a little lucky to get through, and sometimes you just don't get lucky and you die and you have to restart the level or at least the stage. But here is the thing, in Resident Evil 4 speedruns, you have like a segment at the last part of the game and it has 71% chance to hit you with a Gatling gun, and if you get hit you can stun lock and die and lose 1 hour of your progress. In Castlevania, you can get very unlucky, get like 3 times damage in a row or something like that. You lose like 5 minutes max, no matter where you die, like just 5 minutes and that's it. And on the one hand, it makes you more happy when you finally beat the level. When you win, you are so happy because it was harder for you. And on the other, if you just don't want to deal with all of that random stuff, use save states. This is a 40-year-old game. You have only one life. You will die someday. I will die someday. Maybe tomorrow. If you don't leave a like and I mean, maybe save states is cheating. But who cares? If you have your fun, who am I or everybody else on the internet is to blame you? Like, one person will be happy to play the game for 8 hours and beat it properly, quote unquote. Other will say, no, it's not bad, but I just don't want to spend so much time doing the RNG thing. I don't want to try hard. I will beat the game in 1 hour with save states and I will be happy. And until everybody enjoyed their experience, I just don't care. And you may ask me why I told you all of this. Because technically, the longer you watch my video, the better it gets recommended on YouTube. So I will artificially inflate, by a cynical reference, this video to get longer watch time. Another thing I want to talk about is sub-weapons. First of all, for whatever reason, all of them are stolen from Vampire Survivors, Konami, why? But one thing that I find really interesting, what I really care about, what I want to add in this video, is the holy water or firebomb. I don't know why, but in different game materials it's like firebomb, in others it's holy water. I guess it's some translation issues, I guess. Anyway, holy water. Why is it important? Because in this game you have a hit stun. When you hit an enemy, you stun an enemy. And holy water is a damage over time sub-weapon. You see where this is going. It means that if you damage somebody with the holy water, they will keep getting damaged and they will keep getting stunned. Holy water leaves a puddle of fire on the ground, and if the enemy is stunned, you can do a really dirty trick and throw a holy water again. And after that you can throw a holy water again. An enemy will die. When I say enemy, I don't mean like zombie, normal zombie. No, I mean bosses. You can kill every single boss in the game using holy water. Yes, you can just ignore the whole fights, throw the first holy water at the boss will get stunned, and you will just keep throwing holy water and they will die. This is very fun. This is very interesting. It's a little bit anticlimactic though. But yes, this is fun. You can even kill Dracula this way. Well, there is an exception. Dracula has 2 phases. In the first phase, you can hit him in the head only. Other damage doesn't count. But in the second phase, when he becomes a huge jumping monster, you can spam holy water at him and he will die. Not gonna lie, it's a little bit questionable kind of thing, because you have a boss fight. Boss fight is the thing that you want to learn, because that's the whole Castlevania. The whole Castlevania is about learning the level, learning the patterns, learning the bosses. And if you skip all of that with the holy water, it's a little bit feels like cheating. But you know what? Konami knew about all of that. Konami knew how holy water is OP against bosses, so they put a holy water always at the beginning of the level. Why is it important? Because if you die, you lose your sub-weapon. So all this whole system with the checkpoints, you have 3 lives, you have stages. If you die, you respawn at the beginning of the stage. So if you die near the boss, you will respawn near the boss and you will have an easy try to try him again. It all gets thrown out of the window. If you die, you lose holy water, run is over, you have to restart. That's how it is if you want to bring the holy water to the boss fight. So you make the whole level harder for you because you cannot die. You cannot pick up any other sub-weapons because you will lose holy water. Game becomes way harder for you, but at the end it becomes very easy. I really like that. It's like unbalanced thing that become balanced. Yeah, that's very cool. That's a very interesting kind of thing. I really appreciate that. But it a little bit gets boss fights too easy, sadly. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's very cool. And the last thing I want to talk about is the last level and the fight with the Dracula. Level 6 is cool itself on its own. It starts with you seeing a lot of bats. Bat is the boss of the first level of the game. So you see, okay, we have 5 bosses on the bridge immediately. And something clicks in your head. You start, wait, I'm not supposed to kill them. I'm supposed to run past them. And you start playing a little bit differently. Because when you play the first 4 levels, you usually try to be very slow and strategic. You clear everything that you see, you collect all the candles, you try to get to the boss slowly, methodically, very thoughtful about every step that you make. And the level 6 throws all of this out of the window and says, you have to run through all of this. You cannot be slow, you have to run. On the bridge itself, you get a stopwatch sub-weapon. Yeah, it stops time. You use it, it stops time, it stops enemies. So you can run through all of this. You're like, okay, this is a little bit dangerous. I stop the time. Beep, 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 beep. You run, you're good. You get into the tower. In the tower, you have insane amount of different enemies. That's hunchbacks. They are dropping from the birds. They jump around. You cannot hit them, and they are everywhere. And what's worse, you have to use stairs a lot there. Stairs are horrible in this game. Stairs are basically your like character. Let's evaluate our character. If we evaluate his mobility, it will be something around like 4 out of 10, I think. If you get on the stairs, it becomes 1 out of 10. You cannot jump. If you misclick or something, you just fall and die. It's very hard to attack from the stairs. You're very slow on stairs. And your opponents, those tiny little hunchbacks, they jump around like crazy. They have like 10 out of 10 mobility. They just jump everywhere. So basically, your movement is limited very hard. Their movement is unlimited very hard. How do you do this? How do you beat all of this? You just stop the time. You just stop the time and you run screaming, Dracula, I'm gonna kill ya. That's the vibe. That's the vibe that I had. I'm like, okay, this is getting too dangerous. My goal here is to kill the Dracula. Let's ignore everything. Yeah, let's just run through all of this. That's a magical feeling. I really like when the game tells you something without actually telling you that. Because nobody told me you cannot kill everybody here. Nobody has told me you have to rush through all of this. It's just like told you in a very subversive way, almost like a woman who tries to give you a hint. And you get the hint, and when you get the hint, you are very happy. That's what happens with the game. Game like hints you a little. No. Don't stop killing everybody. Just use the stopwatch. You just stop the time and run. Stop the time and run. And you get this message without being like explicitly told to do so. That's very cool. And the fight with the Dracula is also cool. First of all, if you fight the Dracula, that's crazy. You have a save before the boss fight. I know. We didn't have this in Dark Souls for 5 games at least. But in Castlevania, they figured this out in the very first try. Crazy. But yeah, I guess technically Dracula is his own separate level. So even if you lose all your lives, you begin in the Dracula room anyway. So you doesn't have to play through all of this. You can just concentrate on killing the Dracula. This is very cool. His first phase is very hard but very simple. It's not complex. Hard but not complex. Basically, he teleports around and shoots at you, and you have to avoid his projectiles and hit him in the head 16 times. You can avoid his projectiles however you want to. If you open the YouTube and if you type how to kill Dracula Castlevania NES 1986, you will find an insane amount of videos, and all of them will have a different guide for you.
Dracula appears, you can throw holy water and destroy his projectile. Now I didn't do it there.
Is jump over his fireballs and hit him in the head. Alright, so
jump and toss your boomerang at head level and stay away from Dracula. I'm calling him Dracula. Destroying his middle shot with your whip. But that's the strategy. You can get in 2 shots depending where he is on the screen, but just don't get greedy. That's the key.
As you can see, there are different ways to kill Dracula. There is also a very strange glitch, but speedrunners love this glitch, so I'll tell you about it. Basically, Dracula does more damage to you than you do to Dracula. You do 1 damage, Dracula does 4. But if Dracula hits you and you hit the Dracula at the same time, you both get the same damage, 4 damage. Anyway, we together got through the phase 1, we got through the phase 2, and we killed the Dracula. So now we deserve to see the credits. So, at the end of the day, what do I think about this game? I think this game is very good. I think it's good for a 40 years old game. It's not good on its own, let's be honest. But as the part of the gigantic series with a huge legacy, that's a great game. If you account for the whole Castlevania series, if you understand that that's the foundational piece of the gigantic series, this game is great. It was enjoyable because it has its own value as a piece of history, but it also has its own value as a game. It's not a bad game, but it's definitely not an amazing or great game. Obviously, if you want to play the best game in the world, if you want to enjoy proper 10 out of 10 gaming experience, you have so many games coming up on Steam, on new consoles, with every month. So, no, this Castlevania is not like an amazing game, but it's good, and I enjoyed playing it, and I enjoyed making a video about it. I already played second Castlevania. I have a lot of thoughts about it. Basically, I'm thinking about making a video where I say second Castlevania is not as bad as people say, definitely. It has its own positive sides, but to do so, we need your likes, subscriptions, and comments, because as you can see, this is a video on empty channel. We have no me, I don't have any banger videos on this channel, and you can change that. And obviously, if all of a sudden this video hits, I don't know, at least a few thousand of views, I'll definitely start making a Castlevania 2 video. So that's all of my thoughts. I think Castlevania 1 is an interesting game, and it's worth playing, but only reason why is because of its historical value, basically. Yes. It was me, Mr. Beast. Thanks for watching. Bye.